We drove to New Bern, North Carolina and made a great video on it. I hope you stick around and watch the entire thing. We were there for 4 days, so we didn't get a comprehensive look at the entire city. We focused mainly on downtown. One of those 4 days we were actually drove to Atlantic Beach, North Carolina, which is about 45 minutes away. Spent the day down there. So we focused mainly on downtown. It has a lot of restaurants, shops, a lot of art galleries, a lot of history down there. And so this video will showcase everything that we find truly exciting and beautiful about New Bern, North Carolina. You would think that a city named after Bern, Switzerland would focus on its European roots or being the birthplace of Pepsi, invented by Caleb Bradham in 1893. But as you drive into town, you see life-size bears with hand-painted designs all over the city. You learn that New Bern is also called Bear City. This city has a rich history with lots of surprises, and we're excited to explore it with you today. Welcome to Tony and Casey's American Road Trip. We're glad you're with us. At first, we weren't sure about visiting New Bern and wondered if it was worth the trip. We hadn't heard much about the city except that it was on the Neuse River, close to Atlantic Beach and the Intercoastal Waterway. I'm not sure why we thought that, because neither of us had been there before. Anyway, one reason we love doing this channel and traveling is because we find all kinds of surprises, and New Bern was no exception. This city has some unique and interesting things that make it stand out. We were at New Bern for 4 days, spending 1 day at Atlantic Beach. As I said, we focused mainly on the downtown area. The first thing we noticed is how beautiful New Bern is. It's right on the Neuse River, with Union Point Park at its heart. It's easy to walk around with many places to eat, shop, and explore, including restaurants, museums, and historical sites. Walking downtown was really fun. There seemed to be enough parking during our early June 2024 visit, but during peak tourist season, I could see it being a problem, like Memorial Day, July 4th, and Labor Day. But the good thing is New Bern has a lot of cute little B&Bs downtown or close to downtown within a short 5-minute walk, and even has some larger hotels up on the waterfront. There's lots of places to stay. We found the city to be very welcoming and friendly, which you might expect from a small southern city. If different cities had walkability scores for their downtowns, New Bern would rank very high. Downtown New Bern's got over 400 buildings with construction dates ranging from the early 1800s to the mid 1900s. The beautiful buildings are only outdone by the scenic waterfront views, with Union Point Park being the focal point. The park is a public park at the meeting of the Neuse and Trent rivers, covered on 3 sides by water. It has beautiful waterfront views, as I said. It's a 6-acre park. It features a lot of green space for playing, a fishing pier, playground for kids, picnic area, benches, a gazebo that they use for different events and concerts, and also walking paths along the waterfront. Downtown, New Bern's architecture is a mix of styles. Many of the buildings from the 18th and 19th century show Georgian and federal styles, characterized by symmetry and classical details. Many downtown homes used as B&Bs have a lot of Victorian-style architecture with ornate details and decorative woodwork. There's other buildings with column porticos, like a Greek Revival style. There's early 20th century bungalows with wide porches and exposed rafters, which is common in many of the New Bern's downtown houses, the classical colonial revival style. The Tryon Palace is a reconstruction of the 18th century Georgian-style governor's mansion. It's a significant landmark within easy walking distance. And lastly, many downtown churches feature beautiful Gothic Revival and Greek Revival architecture. It's clear that a lot of effort was put into making downtown New Bern one of the most picturesque places in the state of North Carolina. One quirky downtown attraction special to New Bern is Caleb Bradham's drugstore. It's known as the Pepsi store, or the birthplace of Pepsi Cola. This building dates back to the 1870s and is an example of a 19th century commercial architecture. It's a 2-story brick building with typical storefront design of its era, with large display windows on the ground floor. The current building is a reconstruction, as the original one was destroyed by fire in 1931. It was rebuilt to resemble the exact store. This is the place in 1898 pharmacist Caleb Bradham invented Brad's drink, which would later become Pepsi Cola. Today it functions as a museum and a gift shop, preserving the history of Pepsi's beginnings. The building also stands as a reminder of both New Bern's architectural heritage and its role in American cultural history. Another important historical site in New Bern is the Tryon Palace, originally built in 1767, and it was the official home of then Governor William Tryon, who was actually the royal governor. He was English. It served as North Carolina's first permanent capital. The palace is a fine example of the Georgian-style architecture designed by English architect John Hawkes. It features a symmetrical design, large sash windows, and fancy interiors. Now, the original palace burned down in 1798, but it was carefully rebuilt based on the original plans in 1959. It's surrounded by 16 acres of landscape gardens designed to reflect 18th century gardening practices. Today, Tryon Palace is part of a larger historic area that includes several other historic buildings and the North Carolina History Center. The palace itself is furnished with old-fashioned furniture and reproductions, offering visitors a glimpse into 18th century colonial life. It also hosts various historical reenactments and seasonal events throughout the year. You know, I think it's really cool to see so many buildings that are older than cars, which also explains why some of the streets are so narrow downtown. But New Bern's done a really nice job of bringing everything into this century. One of the most striking features in New Bern that you can't go without mentioning are the bears. The Bears in New Bern are actually a unique public art initiative called Beartown Bears, which started in 2010. It's a nod to the city's name. New Bern's named after Bern, Switzerland, and Bern is derived from the German word for bear. Bears are a symbol of the Swiss city. Following this, New Bern has adopted the same idea. These life-size fiberglass bear statues standing on their hind legs are uniquely painted and decorated by local artists, often featuring themes related to New Bern's history, culture, and any sponsoring businesses. They're scattered throughout the downtown area and other parts of the city. You can find over 50 of them in front of businesses, public buildings, and parks throughout town. A lot of visitors often go through bear hunts and try to find and take pictures of all the different sculptures. If you can't find them all, the New Bern Chamber of Commerce will offer maps and self-guided tours to locate all the bears. These colorful bear statues add a fun touch to New Bern streets while honoring the city's name and heritage. One of the first things you may notice about visiting New Bern and the waterfront is that the water looks brown, almost like root beer. You might think it's because of bad water quality that would definitely keep you out of the water, but it's not any reason that's not natural. The water in the Neuse River often has a brown appearance because of tannins, which are organic compounds that trickle into the water from the many marshes and swamps in eastern North Carolina. It's especially noticeable after rainfall. Despite its appearance, the river supports a diverse ecosystem, including various fish species and other aquatic life, including Charlie, an alligator that some locals have claimed to see from time to time. About the only thing that New Bern doesn't have is a minor league baseball team. If you're into sports and planning on moving to this area, the Down East Wood Ducks, a minor league team affiliated with the Texas Rangers, play in Kinston, North Carolina, about 35 miles west of New Bern on US 70. While downtown New Bern is well known for its historic charm, there's much more to the city beyond the central area. The city has some of the best golf courses in the eastern part of the state, as well as a marina. They also have your typical parks with walking trails, sports fields, disc golf, and playgrounds. They do have the Carolina East Medical Center, which is a very good hospital, as well as they have a small airport that serves this part of the state. Craven Community College is the only higher education facility in this part of the state, but ECU, Eastern Carolina University in Greenville, is only 40 miles away. If you're a nature lover or an outdoor enthusiast like I am, the Croton National Forest is just outside the city and offers hiking and camping. It has several boat ramps and marinas for accessing the rivers. There is also kayaking and canoeing on the Neuse and Trent rivers, and fishing is available in all nearby coastal waters. There's plenty of sailing and boating and stand-up paddleboarding. As we drove around New Bern, I couldn't help but think it'd be a great place to live or maybe someday retire. There's plenty to do outside. The city itself, especially downtown, is beautiful. The crime in New Bern isn't bad compared to cities of the same size in the U.S., and a lot better than larger North Carolina cities like Charlotte and Raleigh. This part of the state has mild winters and warm summer, particularly with a coastal climate. The cost of living is lower than many large cities or popular destinations, particularly in housing costs. And also, one of the best things I love about New Bern is its low-key lifestyle. It has a slower pace of life compared to larger cities, which I find appealing. And also, if you're looking for a great place to retire, North Carolina does not tax Social Security benefits, which is a great benefit in itself. Well, thanks for joining us. Please help this channel by subscribing. We really appreciate it. Until next time.